Today I'm going to show you how to make this cherry blossom tree and how to create different variations as you go. Let's get into it. So we're going to take our default cube, go into edit mode, select everything, and press M and merge at cursor. This is going to give us just one vertice. Then I will go to the side view by selecting the X up here, or you could do 1 or 3 on a numpad. And I'm going to go ahead and give it a couple modifiers. The first is going to be a skin modifier, which is going to give us this cool effect we got here. It's basically going to wrap a mesh around our vertices. And then we're going to add a subsurface modifier, just like that, which is going to give us a rounder shape. And you can up this to as high poly as you want. I'm going to be shooting for lower poly because that's the style I'm going for. So then we're going to turn on X-ray mode up here, just by toggling that so we can see our vertices, and make sure you are in vertex select mode by pressing 1 on your keyboard or up here in the corner. So then just select your vertice, press extrude, and Z to extrude it up. We're going to create our trunk here. So on this bottom one, we're going to go over to the skin modifier and press mark root. And the reason we're doing that is because it's the base and we want that to be the root of everything. So then we can press Control A and then make this as thick or as thin as we want it to be. But let's say that's about good for us. We want it to be pretty thick at the base. And then we'll make this a little bit thicker as well. So to start doing the branches, we're going to take this top vertice, select it and press E to extrude and extrude it out. This is obviously way too thick to be a single branch. So you can press Control A and scale it down just like this. And we have the start of a branch. But we're probably going to want multiple branches. So go back to the first vertice here and press extrude again. And as you can see, it's starting to create some weird shapes depending on where you put this. And this is going to require some playing around and stuff, but I'm going to leave mine, let's say about here. Press Control A. Let's make this a little bit smaller. And I think that's a good start of a branch. We'll extrude it again just to see how big it is. And say that's a little bit too skinny for us. We want it to be bigger. So we'll press Control A here and make that bigger. And if we go into the 3-dimensional view, we can see that it is scaling all around. And turn off X-ray to see the base of our tree. Obviously, we're only working in one view, so we're going to stop in being an orthographic, and we're going to go into the perspective view again. So we're going to go ahead and just continue to extrude these out and press Control A to scale them down as much as we like in whatever direction we want. We can press grab to move them around, Control A to scale, and we'll just do this a few times, create a few side branches maybe as well. And something I've found is it's always nice to have multiple levels of branches. So don't stick all your branches up here. Make sure you have some at the top, the middle, and then a couple towards the bottom of your tree. That way you have some variety and it's more pleasing to look at. And see what happens if we move over there a little bit? We might have to take this guy and Control A and scale him down. But obviously, the more branches we have, the more complicated this gets to look right. Yeah, I'm just going to extrude them out. This one I'm going to try to curve a little bit just so that it gives us some more character in our tree and we have more options a little bit later. I think that's a pretty good branch there. I want there to be a couple branch offs maybe. Let's get one going over here. Let's extrude this out. Control A, scale them down. And as you can see, it kind of thickens up a lot right here when we have a double branch like that. So we can select this vertice and just scale them down with Control A. And I think that looks a lot better. Then we can just take this guy and I'll extrude him out one more time and scale him down with Control A. So that's pretty good over here. I think this needs to be a little bit smaller though, so I'll press Control A and scale him down a bit. And I'll extrude out one more time, Control A, scale him all the way down, and Control A this guy as well, just so that we sort of have a cool branch together, kind of like that. So this tree's looking all right. I think I want to add another trunk from the base here going up through the middle. It's going to kind of curve around this back edge over here. So I'm going to go ahead and go down here and I'm going to extrude him up. And this is going to create a lot of broken geometry. So I'm just going to press Control A and scale him down so it's not as bad. We get to a spot that's okay. And I think that's pretty good. Let's go back out of X-ray. I think the trunk is looking a little bit wonky right now. So let's take this guy. I'm going to Control A and scale him down a little bit. See if that helps. No, not quite. So that size, let's see what happens if we move him to the side a bit. Just like, let's see, that's not broken. And then let's extrude him out. How big is this guy? He's a little bit small, but it's not terrible. Oops, I do not want to fill that in with F. If you accidentally hit F, it's going to cause some filling to happen. You don't want that. So just press undo and you should be good. Yeah, let's move this guy around a little bit. Scale him up. That doesn't help. Scale this guy up. Does that help? It does, but that's not what we want. So let's scale this guy down a bit. Scale this guy down a bit as well. Okay, that's starting to look better. Let's go out. We still have some broken geometry though. So let's grab him and move him down like this, maybe over and up. Oops, redo that. Press Control or Alt Z to go in and out of X-ray. And I think this is looking better, but it's still not quite where we need it to be. So if I grab this guy and move him up on the Z, that might fix it. Not quite. And obviously this requires some tweaking and something just to mess around with. But there we go. We got it to where we have no broken geometry and it's not looking too bad at all. Scale him up a little bit now that we fixed it. And I like this quite a bit. Let's see, right there's pretty good. No, let's not do that. We'll take him right here, but we will make him bigger like that. So now back to X-ray. You just grab this guy in, and we can actually bring this guy to be the closer one since we fixed the geometry, and we can make it still look like he was going up just by using that extra vertice to be in the position for us. Let's go here, and then let's move this guy down to here. And like I said, I'm going to have this guy come up and then sort of around this branch. So let's get the basic shape going. Actually, we want this guy to be that way, and then extrude out this way. Nice, I like this. The scale of it needs to be changed. So at the end here, we'll extrude. Let's extrude one more time, and then grab them that way. And then let's use proportional editing by selecting this circle up here, and then choose connected only, and let's use linear. Then we can press Control A, bring up our circle, and we can scale him down, and it will scale the entire branch down proportional to our size of our circle. Obviously, we want to scale him downwards, so let's scale him down to where we want, and then we can scroll the circle up to scale as far as we need to, and then actually scale him up just a little bit so it's not infinitely small. And I think that's pretty good. Okay, I really like this branch. Nice. So now we could just edit him a little bit more, maybe add a side branch here, and then scale down the middle, and let's extrude him out this way, just like this. And then give him a branch off like that. And then keep in mind that if you keep proportional editing on, it will stay on. It doesn't turn off automatically. But you can use that to your advantage, but just make sure to turn it off when you are done, like that. So I think we have a pretty good tree here. And so now let's go ahead and add our leaves. So I'll press Alt-Z to go back to object mode. And I'm going to hit Shift-A, and we are going to get a mesh, and we're going to grab an icosphere. And then with this icosphere, we're just going to grab him, move him up on the Z-axis, and then let's scale him out, not on the Z-axis though. And I think that's a pretty good start. Let's go into edit mode. Let's grab this top bit here, turn on proportional editing, press G and Z, move him up a little bit, and give us a nice rounder shape like that. I think that's pretty good leaf chunk. Then we can just take this guy, and I'm going to grab him, and we're going to place him on our branches like this. And if you want, you can scale him down and you can put him on individual branches like this if you want. Depending on what the style you're going for, give him different scales, different rotations, and you could do that. We'll make a couple versions. So I'll duplicate this trunk and we can give it different varieties of leaves so you can see the difference. So let's finish the leaves over here, move them this way. Let's make this one a bit bigger so we get them different size variation. And if you can see, as I mentioned earlier, we don't really have any leaves happening in the middle. That might be something we want to change later, but we'll wait till the end to find out. So let's continue adding these last bits here. Let's just add another chunk there, and then add our branches over here. Let's make these guys a little bit smaller, just like this. Give them some different scales. Make sure that they're actually on our branches, just like this. Nice. And then let's give this guy here his own tree leaves. Let's scale this one up on the Z a little bit, make them a little bushier. Nice. That's pretty good. If we go into rendered view, I'm going to go into Eevee, turn on the rendered view, and I just have scene world unchecked, and then this HDRI thing in here, you have access to it as well, and you can just pick one you like and then go with it. This is pretty good. We're going to add some colors later, but let's go ahead and do the leaves on this one, just to show you the different ways you can do it. So Shift D, Shift C, move him over, and let's scale him. We're going to do this one with smaller bits, and they're going to be more uniquely done. So we'll Shift D, move him over, scale him on the Z, put him there. Let's go back into solid view so we're not getting all that light in our face. Shift D, Shift Z, and then we're just going to be placing all of these guys. Scale this guy down pretty small, and then Shift D over here. Scale this guy up, scale Z, and then Shift D up here as well. Scale him up a little bit, but not as much. Shift D here, like this, and then Shift D. With these last two branches over here with a little bit of leaf, like that. So these are the two different sort of styles you can go for on your trees. They're okay. I personally like this left style better. I think the bigger chunks look a lot cleaner. But yeah, different ways you can do it. I'm actually going to delete this guy, just scale this guy up, and I think that looks even better than before. But yeah, let's go ahead and put some materials on them. So I've already made my materials, but I'll give you the hex codes for them real quick. So I'm using a dark brown for the trunk, just like that. And the hex code for this guy is well, actually it's all zeros. Why is it all zeros? It shouldn't have been. Anyways, let's go ahead and make it ourselves then. Let's go to the HSV. I use a value of 0.02, and then the saturation, I'm up pretty high to like a point, let's say 3, and then I'll leave the hue at a red. That'll give us this reddish brown here. Then we can select our other trunk and select the first one, press Ctrl L and link the materials just like that. Then on our leaves up here, let's search for my pink. This one should be already done, and it is. That's beautiful. And then for the hex code on this guy, it is an E792D8 right here. You should have to copy that. And then we can select the rest of our leaves, and then Ctrl L and link materials. Once we've done all that, I'll go ahead and select these guys too. And select the last one, Ctrl L, link materials, and we're set. And that is how you can make a basic low poly tree. Yeah, this is your basic low poly blossom tree. You can obviously make as many variations as you like. I have a couple that I did here, different sizes. Let's grab him, move over here. Okay, so here you can see the different trees I've made. I've already converted these to a mesh, so they're all one bit. And something I liked to do on the leaf bits was I actually added a modifier, a remesh modifier. Where is that? It's right here. And I chose sharp, and I chose the octree depth of 3 or 2, whichever one you prefer. They're different styles, but I liked 3 the best. Then you can select the rest of your leaves. On the tree, for instance, select this one last. Oh, we forgot this guy. Make sure that the one with the modifiers are active. Ctrl L and copy modifiers, just like that. And you have your different leaves. You can rotate them on different Z-axis to give them different effects. But once you've done everything and you like your trees the way they are, you can select it, press right click, convert to mesh, and that'll apply all the modifiers. Then select your tree trunk, make sure it's the active one, and you can press Ctrl J. And what that'll do is it'll make it one mesh, just like that. For you to scale, you can give it different sizes. You can rotate them on the Z-axis as much as you like. And you've got your tree trunk. Something that will help with particle systems if you're adding it to a scene in that way is go into orthographic mode, press Tab A, and then grab Z and move everything down to where it's the origin point of your object is a little bit above this curve right here. And that'll just allow it to be placed on your plane without floating or looking weird at the base of the trunk. So if I just hit Shift A out of plane, scale like 50, as you can see, it looks right, and it'll look right if you add it as a particle system as well. But yeah, this is just a different idea. This one's my favorite one on the left here. It just added extra branches. That's really the only difference between the one we made and that one. The one we made, I think, is my second favorite. I think I would just add a branch here if I wanted to make it look a little bit more dynamic. But yeah, the trees we made were pretty good overall. And that is how you make a cherry blossom tree in Blender. Hopefully you enjoyed this tutorial and have found it useful for your scenes. And I will see y'all guys in a later tutorial. Adios.